So, have you written a couple of offers and had them shot down? I know it is so hard to get your hopes up and then get just rejected by the seller. Real estate is a surprisingly emotional mind game. If the real estate market you are trying to buy into is a shockingly strong seller's market due to low inventory and high buyer demand, these are 9 top tips for writing the best possible offer for you to win that bidding war. But watch until the end for my bonus tip on how to possibly short circuit the whole thing and prevent finding yourself in a multiple offer situation at all. Number 1, let's talk about the price. It's not rocket science to know that if you're competing against other buyers, the chances are high that you are going to be paying list price or more in order to come out on top. Of course, I don't want you to do that unless you've seen a comparative market analysis and you feel confident that the price being asked is reasonable. Don't bother whining about what the sellers paid for the house a few years ago. It doesn't matter. It just doesn't. What matters is the current market value, and how that is determined is by the sold prices of similar properties that have recently sold in nearby neighborhoods, in addition to what direction the market is currently trending. 2, rather than throwing money at the wall and hoping that it sticks, consider using an escalation clause. The basics go something like this. Mr. Seller, I am offering you a base price of X, but I'm willing to go to Y amount over the next best price, capping at Z. So with actual numbers, let's say that you are in love with a house priced at $350,000. You offer the seller full price with an escalation clause that says you're going to go $1,000 over the next best net offer, capping at $362,000. Let's say there are 4 offers on the table, including yours. One is for $345,000, yours at $350,000, another at $355,000, and one for $360,000 with $2,000 back in closing costs. At first blush, your offer got beat out by 2, but here comes your escalation clause to the rescue. The escalation clause is going to kick your offer up $1,000 over the top offer. But remember the part about net? Even though the top offer was for $360,000, after those closing costs are deducted out, the net is $358,000. Your offer says that you'll go $1,000 over, capping at $362,000. So your new offer is $359,000. Assuming the seller likes your other terms, you win and you sign a price amendment noting the sales price of $359,000. Number 3, the next 2 tips are especially important if you're employing an escalation clause and you're financing your purchase with a lender. It's called an Appraisal Gap Guarantee. As part of your lender's underwriting process, an appraiser is going to go take a look at the property and give an opinion of value. The bank is only going to lend you up to the amount that the appraiser says the home is worth. So let's say the house appraises at $350,000, which was list price. But remember, you're in contract for $359,000. Your offer is going to be so much stronger if you guarantee the seller that you will cover that appraisal shortfall, especially for the difference between list price and purchase price, since you're the one that chose to go over. If you can't promise this, your escalation clause or your over list price offer is potentially nothing more than smoke and mirrors. Okay, number 4. Let's say your purchase price is over list price and you claimed that you would offer an appraisal gap guarantee. You know the saying, talk is cheap? Well, show the seller that you're good for the money with some sort of proof that you've got cash on hand to cover the difference. An example would be a letter from your banker or financial planner on official letterhead saying that you have sufficient funds on hand to cover up to X amount of money, or another option would be a screenshot of your bank account showing a balance of sufficient funds. Just be sure to black out that account number. Number 5. Okay, let's talk about inspections. When you're competing against other offers, you need to look at risk from the seller's perspective. Inspections and what might be discovered, that's a big unknown. If the seller can eliminate or reduce that risk, it is very appealing to them. Of course, that means you as the buyer are going to take on that risk, and this is a bitter pill to swallow. Here are your options from highest risk to lowest risk for you. A, you completely waive inspections and you're buying 100% as is. B, you reserve the right for inspections, but for informational purposes only, because you will not ask the seller to fix anything, aka you're buying it as is. But if something horrible is discovered, you can exit the purchase agreement with full refund of your earnest money. C, you reserve the right to inspections, but you will not ask the seller for any remedy unless the issue is major and the expected cost of repairs or replacement is over X amount. Keep in mind that it is really easy to rack up $1,000 in no time flat with house repairs, so I'd suggest making your trigger amount high enough to have it actually mean something, like $5,000 or more. D, you reserve the right to do inspections and ask the seller for remedy if major mechanical, health and safety, or structural issues are discovered. This is the standard inspection, but it does not protect the sellers, it's really protecting you. 6, earnest money. Earnest money is the money that you put down at the time of acceptance, and it shows the seller your skin in the game. It's a negotiable amount of money, and the amount of money that is standard varies depending upon the norms in your particular market. Here where I work, in the Iowa City area, a normal amount of earnest money is about 1% of the purchase price. If you're trying to make your offer stand out and look stronger, you could offer more earnest money or make a portion of your earnest money non-refundable, which means in the event that you back out of the transaction, you would not get that portion of your earnest money back. It would go to the seller to reimburse them for the time they spent dealing with you and your offer that did not come to fruition. 7, obviously cash offers are appealing to sellers because they know that they don't need to worry about your financing falling apart. With a cash offer, you need to provide proof of funds. I know you've heard the saying, cash is king, and it is, but don't get too cocky about that. It's not necessarily a green light to think that you're going to get a discount in a multiple offer situation. It might give you an edge over other comparable offers that have similar terms but are financed. 8, if you're a finance buyer, the institution that is providing your financing matters a lot. Local lenders are almost always preferred because those lenders have a vested interest in the community. They know the flow of how transactions work in their particular market. They have business relationships with the agents in town and are much easier to get a hold of to answer questions and problem solve, and they're going to try their best to close deals, unlike some rando sitting somewhere in a call center who doesn't care. Local lenders always get more brownie points when comparing offers to each other when you are stacked up against internet lenders or big national lenders. Plus, about 9 times out of 10, local lenders will beat national lenders or internet lenders once you calculate out the total loan costs. Watch those closing cost fees, my friends. What looks like a tiny bit better of an interest rate from your internet lender will get eaten up by their high closing costs. 9, let's talk about terms. All the little details of your offer. They are all building blocks that add up to the sum of the whole thing. Price is one term, but there's lots of others. If you're trying to edge out your competition, you want to give the best possible terms to the seller, which means shortening all of your deadlines as much as possible. For instance, how long do you need for your inspection period? In my market, 10 days is normal, but what if you could get it done in 5? That's going to appeal to the seller because it lessens their risk. They know that they could have the house back on the market in 5 days if you discovered something during inspections that made you want to walk. What if the seller says they want a closing date in the middle of May, but that's not super convenient for you? Well, I suggest you get over it and you find a way to make their closing date work for your schedule. What if the seller says they want to leave the broken hot tub and the big pool table down in the basement because they just don't want to deal with it? Again, get over it. Don't potentially kill the deal over the hassle of you figuring out how to get rid of those things after closing. Ask your agent to talk to the listing agent and find out any and all terms that the seller would like to see in their ideal offer, and then give them as many of those things as you possibly can. Okay, here's number 10, the bonus tip on how to short circuit the whole game. Sweeten the pot. What I mean by all of this is write the best possible offer that you can by doing all of the things I just mentioned in this video, and then dangle a carrot. What's the carrot? Well, more money, of course, but with strings attached. Write into your offer that you'll increase the purchase price by an additional X amount if the seller will accept your offer in X amount of time. What you're trying to do is short circuit the game. Shut out even more offers from being presented. For example, let's say I'm that buyer and I've written a very strong offer at $360,000, which is $10,000 over list price with appraisal gap guarantee, proof of cash, and I've given them their preferred closing date. But I've told the sellers I will only ask for a remedy if something over $5,000 in repair or replacement costs comes up. Pretty good. They've asked for a 24-hour response time, and that's what I've given. It's a good offer. But what if the listing agent calls the other interested parties, and one of those interested parties decides to throw their hat in the ring with very similar terms to mine, with the exception that they're not going to do inspections? Well, the seller might feel that that's the safer offer, and then I end up getting beat out during that 24-hour waiting period by one of my terms. Here's the genius of the carrot. My offer on their house included an additional $2,000 carrot if they accepted my offer within the next 3 hours. If they don't, that's fine. We can wait the 24 hours as they requested, but that $2,000 then goes away. Suddenly, the sellers have to decide if my offer is good enough, or do they want to risk losing out on $2,000 in the hope that a better offer will come in. A seller who is risk adverse or one that is inconvenienced by a lot of showings might just be happy to accept my offer and call it done. I've got a few more tricks up my sleeve for winning deals, but I'm going to keep those close to my chest for my personal buyer clients. I'd love to hear how it's going out there for you in those markets where you're shopping for real estate, or if you're an agent who's working hard at getting your buyer clients up to bat. Let me know in the comments. Hey, it's been fun, and I'll catch you later.